Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at the MBRP 3-inch Black Series dual rear exit exhaust system for 2019 and newer Rangers. If you're looking for a subtle update to your Ranger's exhaust, then this system from MBRP is going to be right up your alley. This is a full catback setup that's going to bring a nice mellow tone to your Ranger and give you the visual update of having a dual rear exit setup for a reasonable price. On our loudness meter, this one is going to get a 2 out of 5. Definitely more noticeable than stock, but a far cry from something like a straight-through system. It's a great setup for a daily driven truck or one that you spend a lot of time behind the wheel in. MBRP has made a name for themselves by producing good-sounding exhaust systems for a reasonable price, and this one is no exception. As you heard in the clips at the beginning of the video, this does provide you with more sound versus stock, of course, but not nearly so much that it's going to hurt your ears or offend passersby. It's best described as mild or even mellow in tone, with a bit more grumble to it versus stock. It's also super easy for that 2.3 liter EcoBoost to not sound great. Doing exhaust on turboed 4 cylinders is often a fine line to walk. However, you do get a nice tone here, especially when you really get into it and let that engine rev out. Now, as is to be expected, more volume outside means more volume inside as well. However, that's not to say that this is going to be obtrusive. The increase in volume over stock inside the cabin is pretty minimal. You're still able to easily hold a conversation without having to shout, and listening to music, podcasts, or whatever you want won't require you to really crank the stereo up while you're cruising along. In fact, MBRP also claims that this system doesn't have any drone, and that is a feat for an exhaust on a 4-cylinder truck that doesn't have resonators. But you do have this nice muffler here that is pretty solid, so it's going to dampen a lot of those unwanted frequencies and let through the good stuff. You'll also get some cool tips to cap the whole thing off, and these are finished in this textured black, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, since this is a dual rear exit setup, you might be concerned that this is going to require you to modify your truck, but have no fear, this is a completely bolt-on setup. You get a new hanger in the kit for that additional driver side pipe, and that's just gonna bolt right onto the truck, no modification required. The system is constructed from aluminized mandrel bent steel. It's 3 inches in diameter up to the split here. Then those over axle pipes are 2.5 inches in diameter all the way back to the tips. Now, while aluminized steel is not quite the best at preventing against corrosion and rust, these over axle pipes are also finished in that durable, high-temp black coating to provide some additional layers of protection. Now, that coating also extends onto the tips we were just talking about a moment ago, and these are also 304 grade stainless steel. They're 3.5 inches in diameter and feature that angle rolled tip for a cool visual update. Makes the truck look a bit bigger and beefier overall, and that's no bad thing. Pricing comes in at about $675, and that does place this in about the middle of the category for the Ranger. Now, while you're not getting the highest quality of materials like you would with T304 grade stainless, this is still a good bit of kit. The finish on those over axle pipes and the tips makes for a great look and some extra peace of mind. Plus, you get that mellow tone, which is going to make this a very pleasant system to live with, something that can't be said for most exhausts at this price point. So if you're looking for a system that you can live with every day that's not going to hurt your wallet or your ears, then this one is going to be for you. Installation, like most exhausts, gets a 2 out of 3 on the difficulty meter, and it should only take you about 2 hours to complete. Now, exhaust systems can be a little bit fiddly, especially if you're not using a lift, but this is definitely a job that you can accomplish at home. In fact, with that, here's one of our AT customers installing it on their own Ranger to show you exactly what's involved.
The tools I used for this project for the MBRP exhaust install were a jack stand to hold the exhaust while I dismantled it. The lubricant I used in this case was WD-40 because that's what I had on the shelf. This is a 3/8 inch ratchet. This one has a swivel head, which makes those tight angles easier. You don't have to have that though. I also used a short extension, 3/8. I used a 15mm socket for most of the band clamps, a 13mm socket for the factory frame mount in the rear. I used 2 3/16 open and closed in wrenches. I used a 10mm wrench. This was for the frame rail on the front side. For the exhaust tips, I tightened them with an 8mm Allen and an 8mm Allen socket. Safety glasses, of course, and gloves, which I recommend because when you're dealing with metal, you may get splinters and you may pinch your fingers. Hi, my name is Scott. Today I want to show you how to install the MBRP 3-inch S5223 dual split rear exhaust system on a 2022 Ford Ranger. This model does fit the 2019 and up. This does have the 2.3 liter EcoBoost. We're going to start by unboxing and inventorying the actual exhaust system. I've laid out the exhaust system as you can see here based on the diagram that came with the documentation to validate that all of the parts were shipped. Okay, we're going to start underneath the vehicle by lubricating the hangers and bolts to help make this come off a little easier. I'm going to start by supporting the exhaust pipe here. I'm using a jack stand for that. Next thing I'm going to do is lubricate this 15mm bolt back here, or I should say stud, and clamp to help it slide off. And there's a hanger on this side closest to the frame. We're going to lubricate the rubber on that, and we're going to go back to the back of the muffler, and there's a hanger right here. We're going to lubricate that as well. This is going to help it come off when we go to drop it. We're now going to loosen this clamp, which is a 15mm, using my 3/8" ratchet. Wiggling it back and forth a little bit just to help loosen it up in case any debris gotten caught in there. It looks like it's going to slide off pretty easy. We're going to slide back. There's a frame hanger in the back that's held on by a 13mm socket. I'm sorry, 13mm. We're going to move to the back now. There's a frame hanger that needs to be removed, and that's using a 13mm bolt. So we're going to use the same 3/8", but I'm using a deep well and an extension to get to it. So I'm going to transition to the back now. You can see right here is the frame bracket that I'm referring to. This is where the deep well and extension come in handy. Might be easier to come over this side of the leaf spring. That slides right off. Now we're going to move back to the front and remove the front bracket, which will then allow the entire muffler and assembly here to be removed. Okay, now that we move back to the front of the muffler, there's a bracket right here on the frame that's held on with two 10mm bolts. We're going to remove those now. I would either use an opened end wrench, or I really like these ratchet wrenches. Okay. The top 10 millimeter bolt is now removed. Set those aside. You'll notice the whole muffler system will drop some, so if you lift up on it slightly, this bracket will slide right down, just like that. I'm gonna now slide to the rear of the vehicle and try to pull this assembly back, which will allow this to release and slide off. By grabbing the tailpipe and supporting the resonator with one hand, you can easily twist it back and forth and slide right off like so. And we're going to pull the entire muffler over the axle, pulling forward now. By rotating it around, you can slide it right over the axle like so. Comparative, this is the factory exhaust here, and that is the new exhaust there. In this section here, this is for the adapter pipe. It says to mount this bracket onto the 3-inch clamp, but you put it underneath, so like so. So we're going to loosen this. As you can see, it's spring loaded. So if you press down on it, you hold and you bind it and pinch it like this, you can see how it holds the stud up. Then you can put your lock washer and bolt back on it. Get a few threads. That way it looks like so. Okay, we're going to start assembly now of the new MBRP 3-inch exhaust system. First, this is the adapter pipe. There's a 2.5-inch clamp that goes on it. There's a recess in this adapter pipe right here, which is designed to slide over and catch this nipple on the back of the factory exhaust pipe. So when you slide it on, you'll feel it engage and it won't go any further. I'm putting my clamp upward to protect it more, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down, but not fully. That is a 15 millimeter socket. Next, reinstall the factory frame bracket with the 10 millimeter screws. And you can see here the factory bushing is still there. These are the 10 millimeter factory bolts. I'm going to tighten those down. Put some lubrication in the hole. Will help you slide the MBRP bracket in place. This is the bracket that we mounted the bracket to the band clamp earlier. So in the illustration, it shows that it hooks into and hangs into this, like so. So I'm sliding that into place like so, and then we're going to mount our muffler. Slide our muffler in place. Slide our bracket in place. And it all should align with the bracket, the factory frame mount bracket. You can go ahead and let some weight. I still have the front pipe supported, so that's holding some of the weight. but it's fine to go ahead and put some weight on it to keep it in place. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten these up a little bit. That's 15 millimeter bolt here on the clamp. That is still loose enough to slide off. So, just so you're aware, I'm not completely torquing it down yet. Here is the alignment of that bracket with the band clamp with the factory frame mount. It's all in alignment. You're now looking at the rear of the muffler here. This is another 3-inch band clamp. We're now going to install the Y pipe. We're going to put some lubrication on this bushing first. Then we're going to put our 3-inch band clamp on, get it in place and aligned. Now grab your Y pipe and put it in place like so. Just slide into place. And slide it into a factory bushing with the hanger arm. So, positioning the Y pipe. There we go. Slide it into place as far as it will go. Make sure that you insert it into the factory bushing. Lubrication helps. That's aligned, that's aligned. Brackets in place. Go ahead and tighten that up a little bit. That is another 15 millimeter. Good for now. That way we can still position and move the Y pipe around if we need to make adjustments for the alignment in the rear. Okay, now we're going to come off of this Y pipe and install the passenger side exhaust pipe. I went ahead and mounted the factory bushing on here, so it's movable. I already pre-put on the 2.5-inch band clamp and lubricated both inside and outside so that it can be adjustable when we try to slide it on. There we go. Slide it on until it stops. Then you can slide your band clamp into place and realign. Move this around. So that gets that alignment. Then you can take your 13 millimeter bolt, slide it back in place. That's still movable. This is still adjustable, like so. So we can make adjustments to the tailpipe and exhaust tips, so we're good there. Let's get the other 2.5-inch band clamp. So we're gonna go over to the driver's side and install this new bracket onto the frame. We're underneath the driver's side rear of the vehicle. We are now going to install this bracket, hanger bracket, that MBRP sent. It consists of a bushing, an arm, support arm, a very long bolt, flat washer, fat washer, and then on the opposite side of the frame you're going to use a large washer, a lock washer, and a nut. And the directions give you the positions where to mount this on the outside and on the inside. It looks to be positioned right here, so we'll need to move the wiring harness carefully out of the way. There's a to get our large washer in place. Just be careful not to pinch the wiring harness. If you pull it down a little bit, it'll give you more clearance. Just going to finger tighten it for now. That way we can make adjustments to the arm, up or down, to adjust the tip, forward or back as well right here. We're back under the rear of the vehicle by the Y pipe. And we're going to bring over the extension pipe, which connects from the Y over to the driver's side. Wiggle it until it won't go any further. And we'll slide our band clamp into place. You may have to loosen it. We need to watch out for these brake lines right here where this pipe's touching. So we may have to tie these up, or maybe see if we can adjust this. There we go. Actually, disregard. When you're getting this pipe aligned, be aware of clearance between the spare tire and the brake lines. Make sure you've got plenty of room in between. Just because I'm cautious, I may even bind these two together with a tie just to give it more room. So here's the extension pipe output. Now we're going to get the black exhaust pipe and mount to this with a band clamp. Keep spinning it until it goes off fully, until it's fully seated. You can then align this with that. There we go. Slide it into the bushing like so. We're now going to loosely install the exhaust tips. We're going to start with the driver's side. The exhaust tips have an Allen head. Looks like it is a 5/16 Allen. Well, now we're going to move to the passenger side and install the exhaust tip on it. Again, this is a 5/16 Allen head. We're just loosely going to install it for now. These do allow for quite a bit of adjustment, just FYI. We're going to now move up and start tightening everything, starting from the front and working our way back. We're back underneath the vehicle. We're going to start torquing everything from the front all the way to the back, starting with your 15mm bolts here on your adapter. At this point, you can also remove the support. When you're tightening these band clamps, you can see this little wishbone inside here. They put those in there so that you can't go past over torquing them. Back underneath the vehicle to torque everything starting from the front to the rear. These band clamps have wishbones inside them so that you kind of know when to stop torquing. So that's what we're going to do. You can also kind of tell by feel, because you don't want to strip them out. There's this one, then there's this one, which has the bracket and the band together. Now we're moving back to the back of the muffler. We're continuing to torque the band clamps were now behind the muffler. This one's a 15 millimeter as well. Now we'll work our way up to the Y pipe. These still look like they're fully seated. Reposition these. Let's see. Twist these like so. They'll be a little bit more accessible, tightened. Need to check the position of the tailpipes and the exhaust tips before we torque these down. As we moved our way back, we torqued all of our band clamps. They're all 15 millimeter. These at the Y pipe here, those are your 2 clamps. Make sure you position these exhaust pipes and your exhaust tips. Position them where you want them before you torque and tighten the band clamps right there. That's for the passenger side. Driver's side, you've got 2 pipes to adjust. Make sure when you tighten this one right here, the pipe here, make sure you have clearance around the spare tire. As you can see here, my hand fits, and you're not, and you've got plenty of clearance by the brake lines as well. Before you tighten this one, make sure your exhaust pipe and exhaust tip are where you want them. We're going to torque that next. I'm going to position the camera. I just positioned the exhaust tips again to make sure they're where I want them. Everything looks aligned well. Now I'm going to go ahead and torque that band clamp. Okay, we're now at each exhaust tip, and when I torqued it down, I made sure that the height here between the bumper and the top of the exhaust were the same, to my liking. Some people may want them out more, down more. It just all, it's up to you. In this regard now, what we're adjusting is the depth of the exhaust tip. Example, if you wanted the exhaust tip to stick out further, then you can. You can slide them quite a bit. That there is flush with the bumper, but when you stand back visually, it looks like it sticks out too far. So I'm gonna recess it a little bit. Make sure MBRP is balanced there. I like the position of that. So now we're going to take our 5/16 Allen. Smaller Allen head. I'll be right back. Now that this bracket with hanger is in the position it needs to be in based on where you want the exhaust tip, don't forget to torque it down as well. This appears to be 9/16, which is the bracket they shipped. So I'm using my 2 9/16. One is a ratchet end. One side's the hold, one side's the ratchet. I'm going to hold on the outside of the frame. And I'm going to ratchet on the inside of the frame. Using my 9/16" sockets, I'm using my 9/16 ratchets. Both are boxed in, but one is a socket in. So on the outside of the frame, I'm holding it. On the inside of the frame, I'm ratcheting it. Now we're going to tighten our exhaust tips. I found that 5/16 Allen or an 8mm Allen works. So I'm going to use this socket, this socketed Allen with a ratchet to torque them down. We're now torquing down the passenger side exhaust tip. This side was a little different because the Allen head is right here and the body panel's here. So I'm using an 8mm traditional Allen, and to get more leverage I'm using a regular box-in wrench. Okay.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the MBRP 3-inch Black Series dual rear exit exhaust system for 2019 and newer Rangers. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, for all things Ranger, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.